Welcome everyone to AAUW Conversation and Connection. I'm Sharon Watson Hamilton. It's a beautiful day in Auburn, California, but AAUW stands for the American Association of University Women. We are advocates for equality in education, everything you can think of for everyone. Even though it's a women's organization, we've opened it up quite a bit. We have men members and two-year degree members, and now we're opening what's called kind of friends of AAUW, something AIDS, something. Anyway, where everyone can join us. So I'm excited about that change coming up in our organization. So yeah, it seems like it's been forever since I've been doing the show, so forgive me if I just kind of get lost. No, I won't though. So I'm reading a book in our book group, and it's called Fudge, and it's by a local writer, Pauline Nevins, who is delightful. She writes once in a while for the Auburn Journal, and I'm not going to give away anything outside of the Fudge title. She's biracial and Irish, and so she was fudge colored when she was being raised in England. Anyway, the book is fascinating, but what I bring it up for is we all have wonderful stories. We all have interesting lives, and oftentimes we don't think we do, or we don't give ourselves enough credit, or me, I used to write a little bit, and I always thought, well, who's going to read this, right? But I realize we all are wonderful individuals, and we need to celebrate those lives and hear our stories and respect and learn from them. And so with that long little introduction, is my guest today is one of our newer members, and we're going to hear her story. Edlene McKenzie, welcome.
Thank you.
You're
nice to be here.
Yeah, you're kind of new to AAUW. How many? 2 years?
I think about 2 years now.
Yeah. So I just find it, like I said, I heard a little bit of your story, and I thought, oh, we need to hear more of that story. So my first question is kind of, where did you start, and how did you end up in Auburn, California, and AAUW? And that can be a long story. But I want to start with your name first. I love your name.
Thank you.
Edlene.
It was a grandmother's name, my maternal grandmother's name.
Her name was actually that.
Yes, her name was Edlene, and I think she had kind of an eccentric father who had 9 children, and I think he wanted a boy, and I think it was supposed to be Edward.
Edward,
and instead they got Edlene.
Edlene.
Yeah.
That's kind of lovely.
Thank you.
That's kind of lovely. That would be your grandmother.
Yes,
So,
my maternal grandmother, my mother's mother.
Early 1900s,
Probably,
maybe?
yeah, 1900.
Yeah, fun.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be a unique, they had unique names back then.
Yeah, they did.
So.
She had Izita and Hale, and those are some of her siblings. So
How fun.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
interesting.
So, and then you are part of your family, and let's hear about that.
Well, let's see. Where do you want to start?
Well, let's see. Where were you born?
I was born in Arizona. I was born in I won't say when I was
No,
born.
you don't have to do that. No, scratch that. Phil will knock that out.
And I was, let's see, my father and my mother were living at Luke Air Force Base at the time, and I was adopted. So they adopted my brother and me in Phoenix, and then they moved on. My dad was in the Air Force, so we did a lot of moving as I grew up.
Weren't you in the Middle East for
We
a
were.
while?
My dad had kind of an interesting career path. He started out as a fighter pilot. So he was stationed in Korea. He was stationed in France for 3 years. And then when he met my mom, that was at Luke Air Force Base. And then they wanted him to go to language school. So they sent him to Washington, D.C. That's where language school was in the early 60s. And he learned Farsi and Dari dialect. And so my father was sent to Afghanistan in the early 60s. And
Long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so he was there, and then he came back stateside, and he was deployed to Vietnam. And then we moved around. And then
Did you go with him to some of these places? Oh, wow.
Yeah, my high school experience was in Iran.
Okay.
And I went to an international high school for the first 3 years of high school, and then the revolution in 1979 occurred, and we came back stateside. His successor was a hostage, Colonel Schaefer.
Okay.
And then I came back to Hamilton, Alabama.
Okay.
So
let's follow the path. We got Arizona, Iran, Washington, D.C.,
Afghanistan,
Afghanistan.
Washington, D.C., California.
Okay. And then
South Carolina.
Virginia. And we went to Iran, and now we're back to.
And then my dad retired after Iran, and then we went back to Hamilton, Alabama.
Okay.
He had business and family there, and
Okay.
he wanted to take care of his mom, and we stayed there for that 1 year, and then I came to California after that.
Okay,
That's where
after
my
that.
mother's family's from.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he's from the South. He's from Alabama.
He was there for the first 17 years, and then
Okay.
he left when he was 17.
Well,
and went into the
Sorry,
Navy,
it's
and
the
then
South.
went,
Love the South.
No,
Don't get me wrong.
They're lovely people there.
In fact, New Orleans was voted the best restaurant in the world. People.
Which one?
The world. I don't know. The best restaurant scene. I should say that. New Orleans. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So what? So do you know foreign languages? Did you?
I spoke Farsi at very young. It was Dari dialect, and then when we went back to Iran when I was a teenager, I learned how to speak Farsi again.
Okay.
It's been about 10 years or so.
Yeah.
It's been
Yeah.
a while.
Oh, I know, but you think you could still
I
pick
could
it up?
probably pick it up.
Pick it up
again.
pretty
I would
easily,
have to,
huh?
Yeah. We
Yeah.
learned to write it a little bit, so
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow. There might be some tales there with your dad. So.
He had a very interesting career.
I
and
bet he
I
did.
felt like it was a wonderful experience to go to high school there. My brother went to the American school, and I went to the international school. And
Okay.
I think, you've got a lot of exposure to different cultures and different views. And
Yeah.
there was a lot going on in Iran at that time. There was a lot of things going on in the universities, a lot of anti-American sentiment, a lot of anti-Western sentiment,
Right.
and a lot of backlash against the Shah at the time.
Right.
Yeah, it was an
Right.
interesting time.
I bet.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And I only can scratch the surface of what I really know, but I'm more knowledge on Vietnam and that kind of things
Yeah.
rather than the Middle
That was
East.
a different
Yeah.
time.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, though, Edlene, have to be cosmopolitan at a young age. That's lovely.
Well, you don't really understand what you're going through at the time.
I know,
It was
but
just
you
what were
carry it.
doing.
With, I
Yeah.
know, but you carry it with you.
Yeah,
and,
you
and
do.
it's so.
I think it does. I think it does really inform your views.
Yep,
You know,
it helps anyway.
meet different people, and yeah. I think it does.
Everybody has a story,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Okay. So then you start on your independent journey, and where did you go to school?
First year I went to, I didn't have a great adjustment back to the United States my senior year in Hamilton, Alabama.
Okay.
So I Hamilton, Alabama, which is 45 miles east of Tupelo, Mississippi.
Okay.
So, I decided, my parents and I decided that it would probably be a good idea to go to school abroad for a year. So I went to Germany for a year, and then I came back and went to UCLA and graduated with a degree in East Indian history, which was really useful. So I decided I needed to go to law school for some sort of ability to support myself, because I wasn't going to be a teacher. I just don't have the ability to do that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of.
So you ended up in law school.
Yes.
At UCLA again?
No, UWA Law School, UCLA undergrad,
Okay.
all in Los Angeles.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Ooh, California girl for sure.
Yeah. So.
And then where did that take you in your career path?
Well, my then husband and I went to law school together, and then we decided to go to San Diego. So we graduated from law school, took the bar, passed it, went to San Diego, and I started working for an all-female law firm, and they did juvenile dependency work. So I started doing some interviewing minors, interviewing parents for preparation for trials. Juvenile dependency is a really interesting area. It's child abuse. It's when the state gets involved because of either physical abuse, drug abuse, neglect, and they make a determination as to whether or not a child should be removed from their parents.
Ooh, that's heavy.
And
That's such a heavy
It was.
feel.
It is very heavy.
She didn't want to be a teacher.
Well, because
you-
you have to have a real talent to be a
No,
teacher.
I know, but I'm kicking on you.
Yeah, I know. But so I love that area. We found a lot of really great opportunities to work with families, and you saw a lot of parents who had issues with either substance abuse or mental health issues that
Right.
really were able to turn their life around. Because at that time, in the early 90s, the idea was to take a family that had a lot of issues, basically, and to get services in place for the parent to rehabilitate
Right.
and to ultimately reunify the child with the parent, if that was possible, if it was safe. A lot of times it was not safe, but there were some really exceptional situations where you got to see people really make profound changes in their lives.
Well, I mean, children, I don't have children, so I sort of can't speak to it, but it seems to me, regardless of your life, you still have somebody else that you have to take care of, right?
Yes.
And it's
Yeah.
not like, I don't know, I suppose there's some stories where they didn't really want them, but, I think,
Mostly what we saw, you saw people struggling and maybe recognizing inside that they were not able to take care of their children,
Mhm.
but still never wanting their child to feel like they didn't fight for them.
right,
So,
right,
and and San Diego at the time, they had a panel of attorneys. So we had about 40 people in this panel that were approved by the court, and you would either represent the child if you were appointed by the court in a dependency action, or the parent. And
Wow.
it really proceeded like a criminal action, because you are having your child potentially taken from you. So
Right.
you have those very significant rights, and so you would proceed with trials if they wanted to contest the allegations to remove the child from the parent.
Oh.
And so you would represent on any given day. You could be representing the child in the morning in a proceeding, and another parent in another action in the afternoon. So you got a
Right.
nice an understanding of the whole system. I
life,
think, yeah.
their stories.
Yeah. It was
Oh,
really
wow.
something.
Edlene, that can be quite heavy. I'm sure it was a little taxing as well. It would be emotional on times, for sure. The impact that you would have on lives. Yeah.
Yeah, it's something.
Yeah, it's something.
But
Yeah.
I think that's part of the whole, court system too. And I think you get used to it after a while if that's all you do.
Yeah. Well, and we always kind of, I can't say this for sure, but a lot of times I think the court system's kind of looked at as the bad guy. And it's
Yeah. Now?
just by your, well, I'm sure every time, that, anyway,
Yeah.
you kind of, I'm sure you and others like you had a wonderful bearing on,
Well, it was-
what was happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a really great
Yeah.
experience.
Oh.
I really loved it. Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
then you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I did that for a lot of years, maybe 10 years. And then towards the end of that 10 years, it's when the courts unified, and you had the municipal court and the superior court come together in
Okay.
so I think it was
Is that in the
1998.
state of California?
Yes, in the
Yeah.
state of California. And so our panel went away, and they started having offices like the public defender's office taking over representation of the child. And then you had CPO, conflict parent office, and then
children. What's that?
yeah, it's a conflict. It's
Yeah.
like conflict, and then the alternate public defender in San Diego.
Okay.
I don't know what happened up here in Auburn, but in
But
San
it's
Diego,
still
that's what we did.
probably state driven.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
at that time I had to find other things because I was no longer on a panel. So the Superior Court supervising judge, Susan Huguenot, wanted me to start filling in and hearing juvenile cases, sitting on the bench. So I did that part-time as a pro tem. In the meantime, I was doing stuff for Ford Corporation and the Indian, Viejas Indian tribe in San Diego.
Oh wow.
And then representing some things in family court, which is a different area. That's all divorce and child custody. And eventually I became a commissioner, and then I was appointed to become a judge.
Oh, I think that's
Yeah.
great.
And then
Did you have to be elected, or were you just appointed?
I was appointed
just,
by
yeah.
I was appointed by Governor Brown.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Did
So-
you know Linda Ronstadt? No. I have to bring levity to it somehow.
I know.
Yeah.
Linda Ronstadt.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I know, she's great.
But those are some pretty heavy duty topics, little girl. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a really interesting career.
And so now you're a judge, municipal judge.
I was a Superior Court judge.
Okay.
And I'm retired.
Okay.
So
From the-
I've been retired for 4 years now.
Okay. All
So-
right. And was all of your judgeship? What do you call that?
My entire career was in San Diego.
San Diego.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
It's just
It was
thrilling.
a good time to leave because I'm old school. I like files. I like to turn pages.
Yeah.
And, they were starting to transition to having all cases online.
Yep.
And they were having some glitches with juvenile because they're confidential case files. So you
Right.
can't really, but I'm thinking that they've probably done that by now. And it was very challenging for me. And then when COVID hit, we started having all our hearings on Zoom. And I was doing family law at the time, and it was the technology was really kind of glitchy.
Mhm.
And I think I had a moving calendar and maybe had 25 matters on in the morning, and then we had our trials in the afternoon. And so you would have 25 faces on the Zoom thing, and it was, telling people to please, mute themselves or please don't talk while, and having all these people on the camera was a little overwhelming. So I think it was a good time for me to
Well, it's not anything like it, but I was on the grand jury right about that time, and I can so relate with. We had to go to Zoom for we met as a whole grand jury, and then you had different committees. But the committees we could mask up, and there'd be
Right.
a number to sit apart and all that. But when all 19, it was so kludgy.
It's overwhelming.
It's so you just I can't quite put my finger on it. I take responsibility that I'm old school too.
Right.
I wanted everybody there. I didn't want to look, and yet you had to learn, and you did learn, but it's
harder.
It's harder.
And and I think from a judicial perspective, it's hard. I think the litigant or the party that's there for their hearing loses the magnanimity. I don't know if that's the right word, but the awesomeness of their experience, what they're going through, the severity of it. Because you're sitting
This
in
is
your
big.
living room and you're looking at someone in a camera. It's not as impactful
Right.
as when you're in a courtroom and you take an oath and you understand, and there's a bailiff in there and there's all the people that are sitting in the courtroom. It's much more impactful when you're present for your hearing as opposed to being in your living room or in your bedroom.
In your pajamas.
Watch in your pajamas. Yeah. It's not as, and so I know, and I can appreciate there are some benefits to having these hearings. If you're just having a regular case management conference, it's a big deal to pay your attorney to come to court for something like that when they can easily do. But when you're judging testimony of a witness and you're doing that on camera, it makes it's very challenging.
Well, even in person, there's so much more you get out of communication, right, than you do. They can block themselves out and mute themselves, and I don't know. I'm with you on that. Yeah. But we're past it.
Yes.
I kind of want to move on from COVID, although I'm with you. There are some benefits we learned from Zoom.
Yeah.
Staying connected, or family meetings, or certain board meetings.
Very
Certainly
true.
it's nicer to not have to go out in the rain or whatever, and maybe. But it's interesting you mentioned this one thing about it was like people cutting in. I do that on Zoom and I feel bad. It's like, okay, and I just
I
dive
almost think
in.
that's kind of translated into like even interaction in a group now. People are more inclined to
Just butt in?
Yeah, maybe not, but I think
but
you're right. Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like, well, I'm safe in my house. I'm going to hit that button, and I almost always regret it, or not regret it. I feel bad that I did it.
Yeah.
So, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so you retired judge. Oh my gosh. And we're back in California. We've stayed in California. We did our international stuff as a young person. That's great. I think that's when people should do that.
Yeah.
Like the saying goes, what is it? Youth is wasted on
Oh,
the young.
yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But anyway, oh, that's so fun. So now, how did you get to Auburn?
Well, let's see. My husband is from Auburn. At the time that the last couple of years I lived in San Diego, I lived across the street from my mom and my dad. And they were just huge parts of my life. And unfortunately, there was some kind of tragic circumstances, and they both passed. And my daughter moved to Arizona, and I was retiring, and we were going to retire in San Diego, but I started coming up to Auburn, and it's probably one of the most magnificent places I've ever, and I just keep thinking, boy, if I were younger and I knew about this place, I would have probably been a park ranger or, because it's so amazing up here, and I just fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And so we just decided that this is where we would retire, and it just made more sense. And I'm very happy that I'm here. Yeah.
This is from a person that lived in San Diego, because half our population says, well, we're almost as good as San Diego.
Yeah.
No, that's nice.
San Diego is a lovely city, it's changed a lot. I moved there in the 80s, and it's become very large, and it's not as easy to get around because of the traffic. There's still some wonderful things to do there, and it's beautiful, and the weather's great and all that, but I just love the mountains and the trees and the canyons. Yeah. You're right here, and hiking. It's just and the people and the community.
So that kind of brings us to, now, were you married again? Is this the same husband? No, wait. Is it 2 or 3? What number are we on? Come on.
Third time's the charm.
Yeah, that's what I say.
That's what I say. We always put that on our wedding invitation. I thought that'd be a little tacky. So
I think it's adorable. Yeah. Because my next one's going to be younger and a handyman. I don't care about anything else. I'm sorry, Jerry, honey, baby. I'm sorry. Yeah. But sometimes it's Sometimes
I think they live life in kind of stages.
Now you have a daughter in Arizona.
I've got two children.
2 children, okay.
Yeah, so my daughter is living here now.
Oh, lovely.
She moved here.
Good.
And my son is living in Wisconsin.
Wisconsin?
Yeah.
How did you get to Wisconsin?
My ex-husband lives in Wisconsin.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
and that's where he is from.
Okay. All right.
And so so it works. He comes about 3 or 4 times a year. And
that's
stays
lovely.
Here. He loves it here. So maybe one day he'll move here.
Move here.
Yeah.
And how old are your kids?
Tim is 33 and Emma's 32. Yeah.
Anyway, lovely. And they have kids? Are you grandma?
No. My husband has children.
Okay.
And they have children.
Okay.
But Emma and Tim, they do not have children.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
They're going to go they're going to be the cosmopolitan like mom.
Well, no, I think I don't know that they think it's a good idea right now.
Yeah. I get you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that brings us to, Phil, how much time we got? We got lots of time? Okay, perfect. So you're in Auburn, and I have to say I'm so excited that you are part of AAUW. And Edlene and my friend Barbara, and the 3 of us are going to be on program next year for AAUW, so that's going to be fun. And I kind of roped Edlene into it because she's strong, young legs that.
But Sharon, you're too charming. You called me, and I knew what you were going to talk to me about. You were going to ask me to do this because you left a message, and then you were going to say something about programming, and I'd already decided I'd overcommitted myself, and I was going to say no to both of those.
Right.
And I was telling my husband today, she has this way. I don't know how you did it, but you don't ask.
Yes,
you just
show up.
You assume very nicely, and it's really very unique the way you do
I have no idea what this is about.
Oh, yes, you do.
No, I don't. I don't know what I do.
Yes, you do.
But I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad because it's gonna be a great year for that.
Fun.
Yeah. And then going into your retirement, I have heard, because you and I were in Great Decisions and are in Great Decisions, and that's a subset of our AAUW where we talk a little more international political issues. And I'm going to interject right now. If Edlene and I say anything There are opinions, not the opinion of AAUW or ACTV. They, we disclaim if we say something, it's our opinion, and we want people to know that. But Great Decisions is a international political.
Yeah. Economic.
Hard to understand. So it was nice to have these young minds, and that was it. And then that takes you to a stepping out point of what you want to do from this point on is advocacy,
Well,
social.
I think when you're a judge, you are, not all judges, Supreme Court's different because they are not bound by the same ethical code that Superior Court judges and federal court judges are required to do. So you're not allowed to be involved in politics or talk about politics or when you're on the bench. So I had to be very careful. But now there's just so much going on in the world, and so many radical changes just in the last couple months that, yes, I think it's really important to, when you can, to speak out.
Right.
There's so many horrible things that are happening right now.
I know.
So, yeah, you've got an administration. I actually read the Project 2025 last year before the election.
Did you read the whole thing?
Most of it. I skimmed. I think that you can get a real flavor in the very beginning. The initial part of it kind of lays out what the idea is to go to more traditional Christian values, which that's fine, but I don't think it should be on everyone to adopt that. And I don't think a lot of people really recognized all the changes that were going to come within the first 180 days of the administration based on Project 2025 that have already happened now.
Yeah.
But you have the undoing of so many different rights that people traditionally have, women's rights, the right to make choices about your reproductive health. You have gay and lesbian marriages. These people are concerned now whether or not their marriages are going to stand up in future Supreme Court cases. You have a rethinking of the Fifth Amendment now, when the language is so very clear that no person should be deprived of due process. But they're trying to reshape that. There's just so many things, and I think I don't think we can or should be silent about it and sitting back. I mean, I just think that's
it's a little bit of fright or fear. I think sometimes it's, and I don't want to belabor this because I think we're wearing black because we're still in mourning, and we only have 1,265 days left to go. But anyway,
who's counting?
I know, really. But we can be strong. I am kind of more in the middle of the road. I try to be, and for that, I mean, I try to hear what's going to happen. And some points aren't bad. We can't just go out and say blanket, this is all bad.
No,
but I think
agree.
what is all bad is the way it's being done. I think they just bulldozed and what was Elon Musk's Doge and the
I think
saw.
the concepts. Some of the concepts are. I agree. Cutting the fat out of government, but not taking away things. And being thoughtful about it.
Yeah.
And having people that are trained to, determine what is fat and what is not, and how we should go about thoughtfully removing things that can be removed.
Right.
But that's really not what's happened. And I think there's some benefits to taking a different approach on the world stage in terms of getting involved in different countries and determining who their leaders are going to be. But I think you also have to have a presence globally as well in order to foster goodwill.
Right.
It's like you can't just turn the spigot off.
Right.
And so I think some of these ideas are very good, but it's how they're being implemented. That's where I'm really concerned.
Yeah.
And the people that are being chosen to implement these, they have some of them have resumes that, are lacking a little bit.
Yeah.
So, just
She's so sweet.
I mean,
We're gonna keep her.
No, it's just it's very concerning.
It is very concerning.
There are some positive ideas too.
Yeah, and I think that way, and I think that's the way that we can help is kind of look at the more positive and see what we can do to bring that closer to the surface rather than all the negative stuff. And the name calling alone drives me crazy.
Well, I think that's one of the worst things that's happened to our country is the fact that we are so polarized right now that we can't even have a conversation with one another. And there's, I don't know how you get out of that. I honestly don't. There's a wonderful woman in my Democratic club by the name of Lucy Clark who is taking a program online based on the book I Never Thought of It This Way or That Way by Monica Guzman. And it's a way for you to speak with people that do not have the same views and to really listen and to hear what they're saying. And I don't know how we're going to do that, but at some point, if we don't do that, I think we're in a whole lot of trouble.
I totally think that way. And in fact, I get a lot irritated sometimes just by the closure on the left side. It's not just, we can't just always hate what's going on. We have to kind of, why are they doing it? Let's see what the good is.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we'll get anywhere with that kind of approach.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No.
But I don't quite know the approach. I told a simple little story the other day. There was a Trump flag. Sorry, I mentioned the name. Trump flag in my neighborhood, and by law, they have 15 days to remove all political signs after the election. And this went by for months, and I'm on the HOA, the Homeowners Association board, and I'm thinking, do I do something about this? And I kept in my head thinking, well, if it was a Biden sign, would I feel the same way? And I kept telling myself I would, because I think the sign just needed to be off the road. There was only one sign. And then one day it was gone. And all I could think of was, I didn't do it. Don't come after, I didn't do it. And I'm thinking that was just fear motivated non-doing something.
Yeah.
I was scared the neighbor wouldn't love me.
Yeah.
Don't even know him.
Yeah.
But, or there would be some kind of egg throwing or I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we live in a climate of fear right now.
Yeah, we do.
And I think if you look at what's happening, I mean, just this last weekend with, what Comey, our former FBI director, putting these shells out, I think it's at 8647.
Yes.
And very inappropriate for a former FBI director to put that on social media. I can't even imagine doing that based on his former job. He can have that opinion. Right. But to put that, but then to have the backlash by the DOJ and talking about arresting him, this is a country based on.
I always think, did he really do it?
I don't know.
Did AI do it? I don't know.
We don't even know that. But the thing is the fear is what's so when you have an administration that's coming after the courts, that's coming after anyone for exercising their free speech to speak out against certain things that we've traditionally been able to speak out against. Right. This is creating a climate of fear, and that is also just it's awful. It's awful. I'm not quite sure where to go with all of it, but I think talking is still good. I think talking across the aisle would be wonderful. I agree. And that's not easy to do. I live in a kind of a divided household. No, a really divided household, and it's difficult. We don't talk much because it angers me, and then it angers. It just gets off the rails. Well, and I know a couple people who have had long-term marriages or long-term relationships that are having a real struggle because they have history and love, and then they have these. Yeah, and it's only I can pinpoint from 2016. It changed. It has changed. Anyway, I think people watching this will probably be really understanding of what we're saying. The other reason my household is really divided is he's a White Sox and I'm a Cubs. So And then when the Pope came out, and they said, and I knew immediately when Leo
became Pope, and he's from Chicago.
Yeah.
And they said he's from Southside Chicago, and then there was a banner that said Cubs fan. I said, no. He will never be a Cubs fan.
Yeah.
He's from the South Side.
That's
And
right.
sure enough,
Yeah.
that came out. It's
That's
clarified.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I digress. But I think thinking differently is good, but it is a struggle. And it's a struggle to get past when it's so vicious right now.
And I think just understanding where people are coming from, how their worldview or how their view was shaped, you know,
Right.
and understanding what they're listening to, you know, I think that really does. Like I said, it informs you.
Yeah.
So
I wish information was a little more forthcoming in appropriateness, and by that I mean I can listen to something over here and then go over here. It's the exact opposite, and so they're just speaking to their audience. They're not really educating or
it's become so editorialized.
yeah,
now. It's so
and
opinion
both sides.
Yeah. Yeah, both sides.
Yeah, very much. I mean, I
Yeah.
can point to things. Anyway, my
Yeah.
gosh, you are
But you know,
fascinating.
one more thing.
Oh, one more thing. I like one more thing.
I just think that reading everything, like AP, Fox,
Yep.
Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, New York Times, Washington Post, Al Jazeera, BBC,
Right.
you know, The Guardian, all of those things, just reading all of it and then forming your own view.
And
They're all going to have some editorializing, but
Right.
just you got to form your own view.
And sometimes you weed out ahead of time. You might not have the time to read all 10 volumes or whatever. So you weed out the ones you think you're going to agree with, and maybe one or two you won't, just
Right.
to get the other
But
side.
it's nice to get the perspective. And
Yeah.
NPR.
NPR, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, whew, we live in good times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
It's nice
Oh
to
my
be here.
gosh, you are, no, I don't know the word. Just exciting and well-rounded and lovely. And, anyway, I'm going to end our show. Thank you.
Appreciate
What a delight. And I am going to remind everybody, Memorial Day's coming up. I don't know if this will be put out into the world by then, but Memorial Day used to be Decoration Day. It was from the Civil War. It is the difference between Memorial Day and Veterans Day. Memorial Day, we pay tribute to those who gave their lives through armed services. Veterans Day is for all veterans, living and past. So, but enjoy it. It's also a kickoff and a fun holiday. It used to always be May 30th. So all your trivia that you ever want to know about Memorial Day. It always used to be May 30th. And then they changed, I don't know whether it was President Nixon or not, but 1970 it became one of the Monday holidays. And so it became the last Monday in May. But anyway, appreciate all of you. Have a great kickoff till next time we see each other. And thanks, Edlene.
Thank you.
You were great.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.